Very warm welcome to all of you. Online students, please confirm if I'm audible and visible to you. Chat show कर देना इसमें. Online students, please confirm if I'm audible and visible to all of you. Rakshit, Parul, Saloni, Mannat, please comment in the comment box. Kangna, am I audible? Perfect. Chalo. So I hope all of you know the agenda of this session, right? This is not rocket science, but I just wanted to be on record so that this is, again, I know many of you over the last few sessions, many of you were asking me about the resources, complete book list and all. So this session is regarding that particular thing only. We are not going to discuss particular in-depth strategies for particular subjects, but more importantly, we are going to cover the book list that you have to refer for your UPSC examination. But before we begin, I want you to ask yourself how many resources you are reading for a particular subject like polity or history, right? Are you reading more than one? What about you?
So I am currently in batch.
Okay.
So
Perfect. What about you? Okay. Online students. So is it a problem with you that you are referring multiple sources for a particular subject? When I say multiple, again, apart from maybe base material, you are say modern history, you are reading Bipin Chandra, you are reading Spectrum, you are reading some Topper's Notes, something like that. So this is what I mean when I say multiple sources, right? So agenda of this very session is to give you something to work on. Always remember what I'm going to suggest is it is again subjective to the sense if someone has say history options, right? So they may have referred Plasti to partition, that's okay. But whatever I'm going to suggest to you is assuming that all of you are beginning your preparation, maybe just begin for last 6 months or something like that, right? So how many of you are appearing for 2026? Anyone? No, right? All of you are focusing on 2027. Is there anyone online students who is appearing for 26 as well and still not very much sure about the sources? Rakshit, Rohit, Samir, Shivani, all of you please comment whether you are appearing for 26 or 27. Right, so I hope most of you are here for 2027 attempt, right? Because again, it will be very difficult for you to address everything within these 3 months or something like that, right? So assuming everyone is here focusing on 27 or later attempts, this is going to apply for you. Now, this is a very important quote. Again, I'm very fond of it. It applies not just in UPSC but in life as well. So it's again Stoic philosopher Seneca. So he said, it's not that we have a very short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it, right? So all of us have 24 hours every day, but some of us always are in the loop ki, sir, someone else is doing better than me, I'm not able to do. Because the very reason is many of us waste a lot of time scrolling our phone, maybe referring to multiple resources, right? So if there is one thing that you can take from this session is try to minimize the resources. And again, do not go after something like this is going to be the best strategy, this is going to be the best resource list, nothing like that. All you need is a decent resource which you are able to revise multiple times. That's the gist of it. Okay? So with that in mind, we'll begin our session. So first thing is, I want you to remember this loop, right? So whenever you are into something new, right? Whenever you are referring any new subject or any new discipline, so first you explore a particular thing, right? So whenever, okay. So suppose you are, how many of you started your UPSC preparation with nothing behind you, right? You just flunked in, okay, I'm going and I'm going to start my preparation without any strategy. So what do you think? When did you start? What was the planning that you had before you begin? Okay. So by those videos, what did you come to understand?
There is no one single strategy.
Yes.
It is very subjective.
So again, someone is saying every strategy can be a different strategy. There are n number of ways to find the truth, right? So we are exploring just one of them. Please keep that in mind. Okay. So the most important issue here is many people start with the exploration, and all of us do that, right? But only a few actually goes beyond that. I know many aspirants, even after multiple attempts, so maybe they are not scoring good in mains, then they come back and they reshuffle the whole sources altogether, right? So that should not be the case. Learning is always incremental. You start with something, you learn, and then you adapt. You need not overhaul everything. Okay? So the next step, the next logical step should be the stabilization. After exploration, I understand you plan, you do a lot of things, but after that you stabilize yourself. Okay, this is something that I'm going to do. It's not like I'm going to refer 10 different things. You take the views of certain people, experts, but at the same time you should not be bounded by that. Right? You have your syllabus, you have your previous year questions with you. Based on that, you decide the sources. Right? UPSC is not giving you a book list per se. They have given you a syllabus for prelims and mains. Okay? So this is the most important step, and this is where 70% of the aspirants fail. And again, this is not some huge extrapolation of facts, right? I have seen that. So many of you, some of you may be going through classroom programs. After the classroom is done, some of you come, sir, should I read my notes? Right? How relevant would that be? Right? So idea is, whatever you are investing time, first, always remember that something that you can revise multiple times, that only you should touch. Otherwise, it's not going to make any sense. So after the exploration, come to the stabilization fact. Okay, now I don't care whether it is the best source out there in the market, so-called market, right? There can be n number of shiny things, but the static portion remains the constant. The important thing will always appear in any good, decently organized material. Okay? So stabilize yourself. Then comes the most important part of consolidation. So suppose 100 students started, 70% of the people will not even go to the stabilization. They will keep chasing the resources, keep chasing the topper stocks or expert stock. I remember an instance. There was this famous question of Deshar Katha, right, in modern history. So until that point of time, people were comfortable in modern history, ki spectrum pad lete hain, Bipin Chandra pad lete hain, and all that. But after this, many people came to me and said, sir, this is very new, and I could find this in this book named Ishita Banerjee Dubey. And this is a classic book. It's a very good academic book. But the point is, you need not chase every question in prelims, right? You have 200 marks prelims. Do you need 200 marks to qualify? No, right? So you need 100, 110 marks to have a comfortable marks. Okay? So idea is, you select the resources and then stabilize on that. Next important step is consolidation. So whenever you are reading something, consolidate it, and that will only happen when you are revising regularly. You revise, and then you revise. That's all you have to do. Okay? So anyone who is starting preparation, taking notes, say of Spectrum, Lakshmikant, whatever you name it, so it will obviously start from 100 to 100 pages, right? But the more you revise, the more you will consolidate, the more you will make it precise. So it's not the end in itself. First thing is, it's a process. Gradually it will decrease. At the end, you will need some important 20-30 pages notes so that you can revise multiple times in prelims and mains. But this is a process. So focus should be on consolidation. And finally, only I believe 5-10% of the students are able to do this. And how would you understand? When your notes started with 300 pages and then you consolidated and condensed it to basically 30, 40, 50 pages. Then you will understand, okay, I have come to this level. Then again, there's more important point. You have your notes, fancy notes. Many people actually have this habit. अच्छे नोट्स बनाते हैं, बट अगेन देयर इज नथिंग इन देयर हेड व्हेन आई आस्क देम कि ये चीज क्या होती है, नोट्स में है, यहां लिखा है, पेज नंबर बता देंगे, बट अगेन नॉट एबल टू रिकलेक्ट. That's where you have to understand that applying whatever you are learning is going to be very crucial. Why I'm discussing all this? Booklist में बताऊंगा, but idea is how to use that. It's not just everyone knows. आपके पास there are better people. शक्ति दुबे ने यहीं पे खड़े होके 1 साल पहले एक स्ट्रेटजी बताई आपको बुकलिस्ट की, right? It's not the issue. सब वही बताएंगे, but idea is you have to understand, you have to make and apply that whatever you are learning. ठीक है? Is this clear? सबको any issues, any doubts so far? Okay, so don't get yourself stuck in this FOMO कि कोई क्या बता रहा है, कोई क्या बता रहा है. Everything is good. उसी को बार बार अप्लाई करना है, revise it multiple times. ठीक है? Now let's get started. Before that, just remember these 3 mistakes. Many people start the UPSC preparation without having any idea about the syllabus or previous year questions. So make it a point, whenever you are starting a subject, you will go through the syllabus. That is the only thing UPSC have provided you. Then you will see some previous year questions as well, so that you will understand which subjects are important. Within those subjects, which topics are more important, which I call high yield topics. Okay? Second thing is, do not do this practice of resource hopping. कि इस बार स्पेक्ट्रम पढ़ ली, next time बिपिन चंद्रा पढ़ ली, next time Classy 2 partition पढ़ ली. That is not needed. You are not going to do a PhD in a subject. And this is not required. और जो करने बैठते हैं, these are the candidates जो 1 साल की जगह they take 5, 6, 7 and endless years. ठीक है? Don't keep yourself in that loop. It's a request, humble request. ठीक है? Do not do the resource hopping. How to fill the gaps, we'll discuss that. ठीक है? But constrain your resources. And third and most important thing is, do not have a strategy where you are just reading passively कि लक्ष्मीकांत पढ़ ली, 5 बार पढ़ ली, but again you are not applying something. Application कैसे होता है? When you are practicing through test, when you are doing active recalls or even having discussions with your friends. Overdo नहीं करना है कि 3 घंटे friends से ही discuss कर रहे हैं. That is not needed, right? But yes, some level of deliberation will actually help you clear your doubts. ठीक है? Online students, राहुल, साक्षी, clear है? कोई issue तो नहीं? चलो. Now let's come to the first and again one of the favorite subjects of many aspirants. How many of you like polity or comfortable at least? You're not? Which subject are you comfortable in? Yes. History? Background? Okay. Online students, do you think if I have to ask you which is the most comfortable subject you are in? What about Preeti, Payal, others? Polity, right? Okay. What about others? Any other subject? Maybe history? Okay. So that's good. That's good, Harsh. Okay. So idea is, because why it becomes easy? Because you have this Bible, right? For prelims, at least you have this Bible, that is Lakshmikant, right? So if someone is starting their preparation, they have their background in humanities, or at least have learned about political science at some level, they can even start with Lakshmikant. If you are able to understand, you carry on. If you are not, then you reverse and go back to the basics. If someone is there who is coming from, say, engineering background or medical science background or something like that, they have not even touched about polity, then they can start with this source, that is Indian Constitution at Work. In very simple languages, this book will actually help you internalize what is the essence of the subject. Okay? First step is Indian Constitution at Work. This is class 11th NCERT. This is not, if you are able to make sense karna, then yes, you can do that. Because when you actually go through PYQs, you will see 80 to 90% of the things can be done from here. But yes, don't take my word for it. Go back and try to attempt previous questions. If you are able to do that, then well and good. Otherwise, obviously, you have to think about something else. Okay? So this is the first step. This is the second step. इसके बाद भी कोई issue आता है, तो you have your faculties, you have your mentors, you have your ChatGPT as well, right? ChatGPT is one of the, again, we don't want to go into the debate कि बहुत सारे issues भी हैं उसके, but for you as an aspirant, if you are able to use it wisely, just tell it कि I'm a 6th standard student, help me explain this concept in very simple terms. वो आपको पूरी कहानी के साथ बहुत अच्छे से बताएगा. Whenever you are stuck, try to use this. ठीक है? So this is the important book. Then you migrate to this. If you are able to get everything clearly, this is it. But yes, there is this book, Political Theory. So they have, and specifically when UPSC asks about some one-word things, what is the specific meaning of liberty as per our constitution? What is secularism as per our constitution? So this book has an edge there, because UPSC is a constitutional body. They cannot go by some scholars' interpretation, right? So they have to stick to a source, and this is the source, NCERT. So this is the only thing that you will need for prelims for polity, and 90% of the things will be covered from this particular source itself. Okay? Is it fine? Anyone else who is exploring anything else? Maybe D.D. Basu or Kashyap? Anyone else? I hope not. Right? So I know it will sound very intellectual if you are reading D.D. Basu. That's okay. Yellow books are part of it. If you are doing yellow books, it's the gist of everything. But again, not everyone is part of Vajiram, right? Some people are not part of Vajiram. They can follow these sources, right? D.D. Basu gives you that intellectual superiority, है ना, Kshitij? But actual prelims में it will help, right? So if you are having background, maybe in mains it will help you develop the arguments. But prelims में बहुत specific चीजें पूछी जाती. So for normal people, it actually helps a lot. ठीक है? Okay. This is a screenshot of a particular paper. It was 2024, I guess. So what I want to show you here is, suppose these are 3-4 questions directly, right? If you read Lakshmikant properly, you will find you are able to do these questions very easily, right? In the first question, they are talking about speaker. So again, while any resolution for the removal of speaker is under consideration, what would be the course of action? He or she shall not preside. He or she shall not have the right to speak. He or she shall not be entitled to vote in the on resolution in the first instance, right? So I hope someone who has read polity from Lakshmikant will be able to do this. Okay? If you are, the idea is, Kshitij, if you are part of it, so what I'll say is complement it. So whenever there is a topic going on in your class, you can also refer this simultaneously, right? Because there may be some things that are not covered directly. Maybe you will not interpret it as UPSC wants you to. Okay? So idea is, because you will have ample time with you, whenever you are going for addition, doesn't matter. So basics remains the same, right? Once in a while they will have some chapters. उसकी जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, वो current से भी हो जाती हैं चीजें. ठीक है? So whatever addition, obviously someone started in 2012, they may have to update. But I hope every one of you is starting now only. So focus should be on one particular source. Yes, Yatish. Okay? So idea is focus on these high yielding topics from polity. तो सबसे पहले आपको ये समझना है, sources limited रखने हैं. And reverse engineer, if you are able to understand this, you need not go to this. You go to this only if you are beginning for the first time. You want to get the idea, and again the overall language seems complex or something like that. Okay? Otherwise, you can start from there itself. All right? Chalo. Second thing is, I want you to emphasize on one thing. Be not just a hard worker, you have to be smart enough as well. Okay? So suppose half of the polity Lakshmikant have these, again, around 15, 20, 25 chapters in form of constitutional and non-constitutional bodies. So what you have to do is, maybe first time you read it, second time you consolidate, third time you make notes in this form. Okay, suppose election commission is there. Briefly, what are the functions of election commission? What are the relevant articles regarding election commission? What's the composition? What's the appointment process like? What's the term like? What are the qualification, removal process, resignation kisko submit karta, and all that. So you make a table. This is, I hope it is visible now, online students, right? Otherwise, I'll try to upload this as well. After the class also, you can, because again, I want to show you how to actually make notes of it. ठीक है? So obviously we have to live with that. I hope it is visible now, Kangna. चलो. I try to upload that because it is a Zoom version, right? तो थोड़ा सा issue आता है, but you get the gist of it. ऐसा नहीं है यही लिख के लिख लेना है. Idea is to read yourself and then make it yourself, because maybe I'm not very much bothered about election commissions. I'm bothered more about other like finance commission, right? So maybe you will add additional things as per your requirement. Okay, this is just a sample. So this is how you will make short notes around it, right? So choose your source, then consolidate that source. So if you do this exercise, it will drastically reduce the time that you will need to revise, right? इसको आप 1 घंटे 2 घंटे में आराम से रिवाइज कर सकते हो. And when you have already revised it multiple times, तो आधे घंटा भी नहीं लगेगा पूरी चीज को एक बार रिकॉल करने में, right? So this is something that you have to do. Similarly for non-constitutional bodies. Now, second major important subject is geography. How many of you are comfortable in geography? अच्छी लगती है geography? Background क्या है? Option A है, ठीक है. Then you are not eligible for this vote. Anyone online students who finds geography very fascinating? Specifically if you are not from the geography background, जिसका optional ना हो. Yes, for most mortal beings, geography is sometimes uncomfortable, right? But again, someone like if Manocha sir is teaching you, then you visualize everything. हवाएं चलती दिखती हैं, right? But make it a point. You are not, again, you have world-class faculties in Vajiram. That's true. But always remember, it is your hard work that is going to make the difference. क्योंकि क्लास में भी वो 200-400 लोग बैठे हैं, सबका नहीं होगा. Idea is you have to consolidate everything that is being taught in the class, and then you go back. So this is the sources that you have to refer. First, start with fundamentals of physical geography. The first part is regarding your landforms. Then you have your oceanography and things like that. ठीक है? So first analyze from previous questions कि कितना पूछते हैं landform से. In mains sometimes they are asking now, but in prelims it is very rare. Faculty is amazing, yes. They will not help you recall Akash. That's what I'm telling you. You should, suppose Manusha sir ने आपको 20 pages पढ़ाया आज. So your homework is to go back home and revise and actually consolidate in 1 or 2 pages per class, right? That's how you will be able to make use of classes. Otherwise वो ग्रंथ बनते रहेंगे बड़े बड़े, ठीक है? वो फिर नहीं. देखो, UPSC is not something, it is not the toughest exam. If you think about it, you are reading 6 to 12 NCERTs maybe, right? तो 12th वाला बच्चा UPSC निकाल सकता है in that sense. But at the same time, what makes it difficult is this, कि syllabus is very vast. तो आपको consolidate करना आना चाहिए उत्कर्ष, है ना? Now this is the first book. You start with this. इसमें जब when you are reading landforms and you have time, then you also read from GC Leong. Because इसमें जो है बहुत short में दिया है वही चीज. GC Leong में वही चीज थोड़ा सा elaborate करके दी है, that will actually make you understand things. ठीक है? So जो first part of GC Leong's है, more or less it revolves around your landforms वाला part. ठीक है? तो उसमें भी ऐसा नहीं है आपको सब चीजें पता होनी चाहिए. You have to understand these type of landform कहाँ आते हैं, किस टाइप के हैं, मोरेन किससे आता है, right? आपके desert वाले कौन से landforms होते हैं, something like that. ठीक है? Then you have this second NCERT. This is the application in Indian context. So this is going to be very crucial, this NCERT. When they are asking the concepts, they are asking from here. ठीक है? When they are asking about India specific things, कि India में soil कौन सी कहाँ पे पाई जाती है, you have your forest, you have your rivers, तो वो वाला ये part है. ठीक है? So first part of GC Leong from this and these two NCERTs are basically the soul of geography. If I have to concise, 70%, 80% of the things will be asked from these aspects only. ठीक है? Then you have human geography जो 11th 12th का होता है, उसको selectively read करना, but more importantly try to make tables कि कौन से crops कौन सी conditions में होते हैं, कहाँ होते हैं. The table, something like that we have done for polity. Similarly you can do for rivers, right? So this is, again I'll show you. So suppose again GC long के दो parts हैं. First part is for conceptual understanding. Second part, apart from 2 chapters, are for landforms, for climatic regions of the world. So you don't have to go through that. Sir bhi karayenge class mein. But more importantly, again, you just have to understand this. Savannah type ke region mein, they have asked in 2012, 2015 and 21. This is previous year analysis. And then these are the features. Yahan hote. So it will help you identify. क्योंकि questions कैसे आने हैं कि this is the question कि annual and daily range of temperature is low, and then they will give you certain characteristics. So you have to identify which type of climate is there. Okay? So you have to be smart enough. Obviously, you start with the geography, but more importantly, you try to make notes and then revise these notes. Okay? I hope you get the point. Similarly, geography 70-80% is static. 20% will be your dynamic aspect. So whatever is there in your current affairs, right? Suppose Aravalli range की अभी बात हो रही है. So you have to understand किस type का mountain है ये, है ना? उसी से related आसपास के national parks देख लो, so that it will help you in environment. ठीक है? So this is how you have to do integrated preparation. Yes, both are important, Kangna, but the idea is first part is conceptual understanding. So suppose they ask you about this कि Coriolis force के बारे में उन्होंने पूछा है. So this is directly taken from NCERT itself. People come कि surface level temperature, dipole and all that. That comes secondary. First is your conceptual understanding. ठीक है? So you can, again, I have highlighted this to show you कि even UPSC prelims directly verbatim they have asked from NCERTs. So geography ka you cannot find a better source than NCERTs. 11th NCERTs is specifically. Okay? So similar things they have asked regarding isotherms. You have these 2 maps in your geography NCERTs. Try to go through that. Okay? Similarly, they are, again, this question was there. So how many of above are products of volcanic eruptions? Right? Pyroclastic debris, ash and dust. So directly verbatim they have taken from a paragraph of NCERTs per se. Okay? So what I'm trying to bring out is you cannot avoid NCERTs in geography. एक आध क्वेश्चन जो आ रहा है वो सबके लिए डिफिकल्ट होगा, but this is where again prelims becomes hard for people because these simpler things which you already know that forms part of your static, you cannot afford to lose marks in that. Okay? So try to read these NCERTs in that order and then try to form these notes in your own words. Okay? Suppose when you're talking about class 11th NCERT second part regarding India, तो आपको पता होना चाहिए इंडिया में ये वाले फॉरेस्ट कितना क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशंस होती हैं, क्या कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स होती हैं, क्या उनके फ्लोरा एंड फौना है. ठीक है? सो दैट यू कैन रिवाइज मल्टीपल टाइम्स. सिमिलर थिंग, दिस इज द होल चैप्टर जो सॉइल्स में पूजा पड़ा है वो एक जगह पे आपको रिप्रेजेंट कर देना है. इफ यू आर नॉट कंफर्टेबल है, स्टिकी नोट्स ले लो, स्टिकी नोट्स पे एक सॉइल लिखते जाओ, दैट्स ऑल. ठीक है? सो आइडिया इज एट द एंड यू शुड बी एबल टू रिवाइज दिस होल NCERT in 1 hour 2 hours. That should be the idea. That should be the goal. But that will only happen when you are reading consciously. ठीक है? We'll come to that, Kangna. ठीक है? Now, this is about your geography. अभी कोई question है इसमें इससे related? Any doubts? Any questions? We'll come to that. Don't worry about it. Any other questions regarding polity and geography so far? Or someone who is referring any other source? Diya, Shashwat, Ananya, Bhumika. I hope everyone is following the same sources more or less, not diversifying much. Okay? If someone is in any other institute, that's okay. You follow the compilations, whatever they provide. But idea is you keep checking. Yes, this is more than enough for your static part, Samarth. For your static part is more than enough. Okay? Chalo. There is no either or. Right? There are some things that are wonderfully given in your real book. Okay? So obviously along with the classes you try to consolidate that. But if something is not there, you fill those gaps with whatever sources I'm referring here. Okay? No, not in the first reading. So someone is asking, Meghna is asking, should you write your notes in the first reading itself? How many of you do that? I hope not. Because first reading में सब important लगता है. Right? Everything seems very important in the first reading itself. So idea is you should wait. एक रीडिंग ग्लांस करो, दूसरे में थोड़ी सी अंडरस्टैंड आएगी, तीसरे में यू विल स्टार्ट रीडिंग ओके दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट दिस इज नॉट. और इंपॉर्टेंट कैसे पता लगेगा? अगेन गो बैक टू योर प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस. दिस इज the area from which UPSC asks the questions. So you have to highlight it more, revise it more, whatever works. Okay? Okay. Now comes the other part, modern history. We have covered that. So modern history mein, I'll recommend using, again, not about yellow books. If you're reading that, more than enough. But idea is, whenever you are reading a particular source, मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री में देखो, फर्स्ट यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड द ट्रेंड. देयर सपोज 6 क्वेश्चन आर बीइंग आस्क्ड, तो 3 सबको पता होंगे कि क्रोनोलॉजी बताई होगी, राइट? ठीक है, तो फर्स्ट यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि क्या वो मेरा सोर्स इज दैट कवरिंग दैट पार्ट और नॉट. सो बोथ ऑफ दीज सोर्सेस, स्पेक्ट्रम एंड योर एनसीईआरटी एज वेल कवर्स दिस व्हेन इट टॉक अबाउट स्टोरी टेलिंग, है ना, आपको थोड़ा सा स्टोरी बनवा देती है वो. बट द इशू इज व्हेन यू हैव टू कंसोलिडेट एवरीथिंग, types of commissions regarding education, police reforms specifically, then this book does the job in that case. थोड़ी सी मोटी हो गई है, but idea is, and again always remember that history itself it's very vast. ठीक है, so there is no source that can cover everything. What you have to focus on is, अगर 6 questions आ रहे हैं तो at least 4 I should be able to mark comfortably. There will always be 1 or 2 questions which will be bouncers, and that will be for everyone. What you can do is, along with these sources, suppose you have started with your spectrum, okay? Then you try to, and this is not just for history, in any source that you are not comfortable with, any subject you are feeling weak, then you try to solve previous year questions. So specifically in history, because history is static, more or less static, right? So you do this PYQs from 1990s onwards. 95 onwards, you will see if questions are getting direct hit from these previous year papers. Second thing is, whenever there are some gaps, try to fill these gaps with your test papers, right? So test papers will help you in actually bridging those gaps. It will obviously help in other aspects, training your brain for solving the answers, right? That is different, but also it is a very good way to accumulate your source knowledge as well. Okay, so don't chase multiple sources per se of history, modern history. You go for one source and then maybe add some knowledge from these aspects, from questions itself. So which was the movement Gandhi ji called Himalayan blunder? Anyone? Right? Maybe you again, this is the homework for you. Idea is, whenever you come across something that you may have missed from these sources, try to make a note, A4 size sheet or digital notes, whatever you are comfortable with, just one line, okay? So that knowledge actually helps you in the future questions. And prelims is more about identification, कि ये तो पक्का नहीं है, so that you can also eliminate some options. Yes, it is fine, but the issue is, as I said, there are some things that are very well consolidated in the form of, say, particular chapters on education, particular chapters on commissions regarding famines, and things like that are given here. Okay? So you first focus on one thing, then identify through the index part, Kangana. Okay? एक ही source पकड़ो, but then you go to, if you are, say, want to diversify, maybe just see the index if I'm missing something. Okay? But again, remember this. Do solve more questions on that. Many people who have already done something like this Bipin Chandra, India's, again, very good book, in the sense it will help you imagine the whole story. Simon Commission आता है तो दिमाग में हाँ एक पिक्चर बन जाती है. But again, there are some weak areas. It's a good book if you want to read in a leisure time, right? But for prelims perspective, Spectrum is far better. It is actually consolidation of notes per se. Issue is, Spectrum is notes, so they play catch up as well. When I started, तो ये 200-250 पेज की बुक थी, आज ये शायद 1000 पेज के आसपास की बुक है, right? Because they play catch up. Not necessary at all. This is what I'm asking you not to refer. If you have already referred something, that is okay. If someone is having, say, history optional, then they may have referred this Plassey to Partition, wonderful book, and even in prelims you will get multiple questions from that. But the issue is, this is an academic book. पढ़ने में ही 2 महीने लगेंगे, अगले रिवीजन में 2 महीने लगेंगे, so again it is not good for your preparation overall. ठीक है? So big no to these. Maybe when you are writing mains, chapter 7 of this book, Many Voices Within the Nation, it will help you in your mains answer writing, but again not required as of now. ठीक है? One, only one. So I'll tell you this. ठीक है? For modern history, this is more than enough. If you are facing any issue, just focus on previous year questions and again maybe some tests. Now comes the AMEC part. I want to warn you about one thing. Ancient medieval art and culture. Again, the span is very long. Maybe you would have read about Mauryas, Magad, everything. Maybe they ask about Kakatiyas. What do you do? So first you have to understand the nature of this examination. This is a competitive examination, right? अगर साथ वाले को नहीं आता और मुझे नहीं आता, it's okay. अगर सबको आता है और मुझे नहीं आता, then that's an issue. ठीक है? तो first thing is, idea is you start with your R. Sharma. Medieval, similarly you have Satish Chandra. You start with that. What you can do is, this is theme wise history, right? Themes in Indian history, part 1, part 2. If you have not done that, you can start from here as well. There is no issue. This is again or. ठीक है? Start from either of these two. Because in themes, they are again taking themes. It will help you in mains answer writing as well. So first chapter I think here is India through the eyes of travelers, foreign travelers. So they also ask the questions in mains from this these kinds of themes. So it will be good here. But idea is, nothing is sufficient per se from AMEC. So again you have to go back to previous year questions. कि पद्म पानी बुद्धा कहाँ पे है, कौन सी पेंटिंग में, एटलीस्ट यू शुड नो दैट, राइट? या फिर फ्यूचर बुद्धा का नाम क्या है? तो वो जो सबको आता है वो आपको भी आना चाहिए. ठीक है? बट डोंट ओवरडू दिस. एंड अगेन दिस इज समथिंग दैट विल नीड अ लॉट और रिविजन, कि कौन सा टेम्पल है, कौन से कैटेगरी का है, राइट? एंड अगेन देयर आर सो मेनी थिंग्स इन बुद्धिज्म, जैनिज्म. तो यू हैव टू राइट डाउन द नोट्स. I'm not asking you to write down notes for every subject. If you are comfortable revising something multiple times from the book itself, it's okay. But this is one of the only subjects where you will need notes so that you can revise it multiple times. Book se revision बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है, right? So it is difficult. No, not needed. Not needed, Saudandra. You start from here and then you add on your previous year questions and your test series. That's all. Second thing is, you have to understand, overall you have to score 110 marks. So suppose if you ask me, I'm always comfortable, I can leave 2 questions from this part. It's okay. I'll not take on my ego कि यार तू तो करके आया, मैं नहीं करके आया. Not like that. I'll make sure my static part is very good. My polity, my economics, my modern history. I know यहाँ से आने वाला है, that is gold for me. मतलब उसमें गलती नहीं होनी चाहिए. फिर एक दो चीजें यहाँ से नहीं भी होती हैं, it's all right. But again, now you have time to first cover the basics properly and then move on in the form of your PYQs and test. ठीक है? In art and culture per se, there is one more book, Fine Arts of NCERT, that is there if you can, if you want to refer. This is a very good book for art and culture personally. It tells you about various things, specifically even the pictures that are given there. Again, very nice. So you can include these 3 things. If you are reading 2 NCERTs, old NCERTs, fine. Otherwise, themes in Indian history and then fine arts. That should be your base. If someone is referring any other source, that's totally up to them. But again, always remember, what you cannot revise multiple times will not make sense. So choose accordingly. ठीक है? अभी किसी को कोई शो, कोई डाउट, कोई कंसर्न? If you have read this, then you keep reading it. If you have not invested yet, then focus on your class notes and NCERTs. Because idea is, even after reading those 900 pages, you are not sure उसमें से आएगा नहीं आएगा. तो return on investment is very low. ठीक है? So whatever is there in your class notes along with these NCERTs is more than enough, and then you consolidate through previous year papers and tests. That is, just focus on one NCERT. Is not कि 2004 से पहले, 10 से पहले, 20 से पहले. No, only one NCERT. Yes, good to go, Akash. I'll come to that, Ananya. I'll come to that. Okay. Now let's talk about economics. How many of you are comfortable in economics? Anyone who feels very much comfortable in economics, if they do not have the obviously background in economics? How many of you are not comfortable? Baki sir? You're comfortable in economics? Yes. So those who are comfortable, good for you. Those who are not, you have to understand one thing. Economics is something, it's like more closer to science in your humanities, right? So first you have to understand the concepts well. So you start with any NCERT. So maybe again, Vajiram's yellow book is a very good source, right? You can directly start from that if you are from Vajiram. Otherwise, you start with any also NCERT. So whenever there is a term, you try to Google it. If you are not covering from classroom, right? I'm assuming that if you are covering from classroom, faculties will be teaching you that. Even if you are not comfortable, then कि कोई issue आ रहा है, कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा, तो try to use ChatGPT and Google more often, right? Because history is static. You need not touch anything else. Polity is more or less static. But in economics, things will be again updating very regularly. कि startup की definition अभी थोड़ा सा change हुई है. Deep tech startup आ गया. तो you have to be current awareness भी important है और conceptual understanding भी important है. So yellow books are the best source here, right? Along with some NCERTs that you want to refer, you can refer. But again, focus should be on concept building. कि inflation बढ़ रहा है, तो what should be the course of action? Fiscal policy के हिसाब से, monetary policy के हिसाब से. Suppose US Fed has reduced the rate. So how it will impact our FDIs? So ये conceptual understanding you have to develop. First understand the concept obviously, then you will focus on the application. And again, keep doing previous year questions. It should not be like that कि मैंने सर ये book पढ़ ली, वो book पढ़ ली, but still मुझसे questions नहीं होते. Right? So you have to understand that final objective is solving the questions in prelims. So focus should be on कि हाँ किस type के application based questions they are asking. ठीक है? Again, in this economics, you have a huge role of current affairs. I cannot emphasize enough. I hope all of you are reading newspapers. Anyone who is not reading newspapers, please be honest. Anyone else? Online students? Anyone who is not reading newspapers properly? Please be honest. It's not like you are the first one who is ignoring newspapers. Let me be very frank with you. I know you will get current affairs classes as well, maybe, right? But there is no substitute for newspapers. Because you are going to be a bureaucrat, आपके district में बहुत सारी चीजें होंगी, you have to be aware, right? It's good for the job. Second thing is, when you come to mains, ideas are there, but articulation of those ideas and uniqueness. Suppose in ethics, someone is talking about integrity. तो first person, किसका नाम आता है दिमाग में integrity के लिए? Have you read ethics? Any one of you? TN session is there. Okay. Ashok Khimka is there, right? So these are the most overused examples. So if everyone is using the same example, it defeats the purpose itself. But when you are reading newspapers properly, you will know better examples, more relevant, more contemporary examples. Similarly, even in essay, when you are writing an essay, you have to give a good introduction, right? So how would you give a good introduction? When you have actually read some good articles. So when someone is writing in the Hindu or the Indian Express, it takes a lot of effort. They'll do a lot of research before writing on the subject. So overall, the the density of the content will be huge. And second thing is, you'll know how to connect the paragraphs, how to introduce, how to conclude. That is not matchable by any current affairs, right? They will give you the ideas. They'll give you the example, substantiation, that will be covered in your classes. But how to actually write well, specifically in essay and ethics, it will help you a lot. That's why keep reading newspapers. Now coming back to economics. So in economics, half of the portion would be analytical, application based, right? So as I said, so whenever there is a news, suppose this is right now we have this 16 finance commission, right? So what are the criteria before? Now what is the criteria? New criteria. One newspaper is more than enough. ऐसा नहीं है कि इंडियन एक्सप्रेस भी पढ़ रहे हैं, हिंदू भी पढ़ रहे हैं, द मिंट भी पढ़ रहे हैं, मे बी एवरीथिंग बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड. नो, वन न्यूज़पेपर, जस्ट डू इट डेली, कंसिस्टेंटली, गुड इनफ, वेरी गुड, डोंट वरी अबाउट इट. ठीक है. Similarly, suppose you have this article, India proposes UK style totalization pact with the US. So this is a term कि totalization क्या होता है, right? Similarly, we have expanded a definition of startups now. पहले क्या लिमिट थी, अभी क्या लिमिट होने वाली है. Deep tech startups की इन्होंने specifically बात करी है. So what constitutes deep tech startups? So what I'm trying to emphasize here is, in polity, you need not go through much of current affairs. Obviously, even in polity, it will be yes, from mains point of view, suppose governor ke issues chal rahe hain, so you understand, okay, this important issue is there, so I have to prepare my notes accordingly. But in economics, half your preparation will be dependent on your current affairs as well. Okay, so there are some static themes ki inclusive growth, food processing industries, right, agriculture, backward linkage, forward linkage. These are the static portions, but again, when you include the current happenings, that will actually enhance your marks in your mains as well. So keep reading newspapers. And whenever you find a particular concept, so try to have this sort of table for yourself. कि suppose increase in repo rate हुआ, तो उसके लिए क्या होना चाहिए. Similarly, you have increased fiscal deficit, इसका मतलब क्या होता है. ठीक है. So try to have कि अब rupee appreciate हो रहा है, depreciate हो रहा है. So what it means first of all, और उससे you will go back to near and read, right? So you'll connect the static part, then you will understand, okay, how it will affect our Indian economy. Exporters पे क्या impact आएगा, importers पे क्या impact आएगा, right? All these things. So this way you are analyzing and you are again revising everything that is required from prelims perspective. No, not a difference. E-paper of Indian Express और physical copy में कोई difference होने वाला है? I hope not. ठीक है? Same news आएगी. Just select the edition. Edition आप select कर लो. Editorials will be the same, more or less important news will be the same. Maybe state news may differ, but again, you will not need that. Okay? Chalo. Now we have covered economics part, and again, whenever you are struggling in economics, there is a website called Investopedia. You Google, search it, maybe they will explain better if you are not able to understand, if you are doing self-study. अगर classroom में जा रहे हो, तो Lokesh, this is a separate topic of discussion altogether. I have had a session regarding newspapers, how to read newspapers, how to integrate it in your mains. You can watch in the live section of Vajiram And Ravi YouTube. ठीक है, उसमें हमने काफी 1-2 घंटे से भी बात करी. ठीक है, चलो. Now comes the important part, environment. देखो, these 4 subjects are your base, foundation of everything. Your polity, your economics, your geography, your modern history. This forms a base. अगर इकोनॉमिक्स समझ नहीं आई तो मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग भी समझ नहीं आएगी. If you are not good in geography, you will not understand environment better. So first is cover these foundational aspects. Then you migrate to environment. Again, environment में there are 2 aspects, static and contemporary or current. Right? So first you start with static. So any compilation, if you are again a student of Vajiram, you will have this yellow book. That is more than enough. If you are studying somewhere, maybe you start with any book that you want, Shankar, whatever you want to. Static remains the same. उसी को ecosystem क्या होता है, niche क्या होता है, things like that. So try to read it and then you condense it, write it in your own words, notes बनाने हैं उसके. ठीक है? Then comes the second part, that is dynamic part. And this makes environment a bit difficult. Conferences हो रही हैं, UN sessions हो रहे हैं, right? So whenever you are reading newspapers, थोड़ा सा आपको पूरा समझ आ जाता है कि कौन से सेशन में क्या हुआ था. So newspapers again become very important. But not just reading, you have to actually consolidate it. So whenever some national park is in news, tiger reserve is in news, wetland is in news, you try to consolidate the current ones. I'm not saying कि 100% hit ratio होगा. maybe they can ask something from any other national park that you may not have studied. But the issue is you have to be better than others, right? Ab wetlands, it's not the point. I hope you understand that you have to take note out of it. कि suppose Bandipur National Park was in news, कौन सी rivers उसके साथ जाते हैं, maybe some important flora and fauna, things like that. It depends on your compatibility as well. Okay? If you are a student of environmental sciences, it may come natural to you. Not just national parks, you have species in news, right? So suppose Himalayan musk deer, those specifically your critical endangered species, vulnerable species, and whose status has changed. This becomes important for you. Then you have whatever is there in the previous year questions, right? So at least whatever there they have covered in the previous year questions, that you should know. So basic book, one, then your current affairs, and keep adding, right? And not just adding, keep revising. Make it a point every day you are giving. Again, we missed one thing in geography. Atlas, 15 minutes of atlas every day. ठीक है? No matter what, शुरुआत में सब चीज बहुत अलग अलग लगेगी, but slowly you will get to understand, right? That's not the point here. It's not about I want you to mug everything right now. स्क्रीनशॉट लेने से कुछ नहीं होगा, right? It's about understanding what is needed, what is to be done, right? Species change हो जाएंगे, national parks change हो जाएंगे. That's not the point. Idea is what is there in the current affairs, right? You should consolidate it. ठीक है? Getting my point? कोई issue है अब तक? Any doubt? Anything? Yes.
Is there any static part for this thing?
Yes, yes. No. Species में there is no static part. You should understand कि just how, suppose what are the types, conservation status क्या क्या होते हैं, कौन लाता है, IUCN, उसके बारे में थोड़ा सा पढ़ो. That's all. Otherwise, static part, ecosystem क्या होता है, pollutants कौन से होते हैं. These are the static parts. ये वाले parts से you will not need. But again, when you come to species per se, yes, they have asked about suppose the major species, tiger, है ना? Basic characteristics क्या होते हैं, कैसे difference होते हैं tiger, cheetah, lion, right? Sometimes they are talking about elephants. So whenever you are doing this analysis of previous year questions, try to include that as well. But again, you cannot do endlessly for everything. Some important and something that is in current affairs. That's all. ठीक है? Are you getting the point? Okay. Any other issue so far? Online students, clear hai? Yes, you can. I have seen various toppers who have not even touched that book. Don't worry about it. Even in that, if you want to, maybe 1 or 2 chapters, temple architecture and all that, not more than that. Okay? संजीव वर्मा सर की एक बुक आती है इकोनॉमिक्स की, a late very honorable teacher of Vajiram, ex-teacher. उनकी बुक बहुत अच्छी है. If you want to understand the concepts of economics, बहुत अच्छी लैंग्वेज में करा देंगे. But again, your yellow book also covers the same. ठीक है? And more, in fact. Totally up to you. If you are reading any other source, Vivek, that's okay. But the idea is conceptual understanding आनी चाहिए, जहां से भी आपको आ जाए. ठीक है? That's the whole point. And then, Yasini, we have covered this. I have made a separate video on current affairs, right? You can watch that in the live section of Vajiram And Ravi app or YouTube as well. Because वो थोड़ा सा larger चीज है, अलग पूरा session 3 घंटे का भी हो सकता है, right? Otherwise, if you are given Jayan sir classes, सबको मिल रही हैं Jayan sir की classes, current affairs वाली, maybe in second year, right? So that also covers the same thing. ठीक है? चलो, yes.
When to know where to stop in ecology and science?
You take time. You give say 7 days, 10 days, 15 days. I told you, knowledge does not come कि मैं एक बार में PhD कर लूंगा, right? You take a time कि maybe next 10 days or 15 days, this is the target that I have, right? And then you keep adding on. So whenever you are reading second time, maybe you will add something more. from your tests, from your current affairs, whatever is the gaps that are there in your preparation. How to stop? If you are able to solve previous year questions properly, you are on the right track. That's the whole point. अगर previous years नहीं हो रहे हैं, तो again you have to work more. ठीक है? Okay. Now comes another dynamic subject, the most dynamic subject. How many of you are from science background? Okay. Online students? Okay. How many of you have read NCERTs for science? अभी यूपीएससी में आके या बचपन में? पहले. Okay. After UPSC, how many of you have read science and science from your NCERTs? ठीक है. देखो, first thing is your homework for today would be go back and analyze last 7 years or 10 years. If you have any compilation as well, that will do, of science and tech. You will be surprised. ज्यादा क्वेश्चन नहीं आते हैं बेसिक से. Hardly 2-3 questions will be there if I take out the average of 15 questions. 90% of the things will be current affairs based, right? Biotechnology में क्या हो रहा है, space technology में क्या हो रहा है, defense technology में क्या हो रहा है, these things, right? So focus should be on current affairs. But yes, when you are talking about say space, so obviously आपको PSLV वगैरह पता होना चाहिए, right? So first focus should be on understanding. अब ऐसा नहीं है कि बायो में इतनी डिटेल में करने वाला हूं. You should understand. Suppose COVID-19 era था, तो obviously you should understand वैक्सीन्स कैसे वर्क करती हैं, है ना? Which are the cells responsible for immune system, right? But at the same time, you should not do a PhD altogether in biology, right? You understand one thing कि previous years हो रहे हैं नहीं हो रहे, और हो रहे हैं तो भी ऐसा नहीं है 100% मुझे चाहिए. एक आध दो क्वेश्चन I can leave. If I am given 200 marks paper, I have to score 110. I'll choose which I can leave. So maybe 1 or 2 questions from art and culture, 1 or 2 questions from science and tech, and that will not be the case. Even in science and tech, if you are regularly practicing previous year questions, you will understand there are some limitations of UPSC as well. Suppose UPSC asks you कि कौन सी current technology से क्या क्या हो सकता है. Now this is a constitutional body we are talking about. We will take them to court. So they have to be very sure कि ऐसा नहीं हो रहा होगा. Maybe someone in Japan is doing that research, right? So it becomes very difficult for them to again defend everything. So science and tech will give you the advantage there as well. But I'm not saying कि कुछ भी required नहीं है. If you have a very basic compilation, अगर आप यहाँ से पढ़ रहे हो, so that is a very good and the only source you'll need, right? But yes, there are some important topics like biotech, है ना? तो उसमें थोड़ा सा डिटेल में पढ़ सकते हो. And then there comes the role of current affairs as well. So whenever there is something like gene editing हो रहा है, right? 3-parent baby है. So again, you will need to understand the basics. अब similarly Nobel Prize जब आता है, right? So what is quantum tunneling, right? तो वो पता होना चाहिए. They can directly ask from there. CRISPR वगैरह I hope क्लास में भी कवर होता है, but again current affairs से भी आपको आइडिया लगता रहता होगा. So this is how you have to study science and tech per se. Take any compilation. This is a very good source, but more importantly, focus should be on your current affairs, right? This becomes more important. Okay. Similarly, when someone of a high office is talking about something, digital currency, stable coins, bitcoins, things like that, right? So you should understand the underlying technology. Right now we are having AI summit. So at least what is AI? किस लेवल पे होते हैं? मशीन लर्निंग, डीप लर्निंग, बेसिक चीजें आपको समझ आनी चाहिए. सिमिलरली यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट ईवीज, है ना? तो ईवी कैसे वर्क करता है, अंडरलाइन टेक्नोलॉजी क्या है, कौन कौन सी चीजें यूज हो सकती हैं, कौन कैथोड हो सकता है, कौन एनोड हो सकता है, थिंग्स लाइक दैट. सो बेसिक नीड इज अवेयरनेस ऑफ करंट इवेंट्स. अवेयरनेस होनी चाहिए और यू आर ऑन द राइट ट्रैक. इसमें अगेन डोंट गो एंड डू अ होल PhD इन द फिजिक्स, केमिस्ट्री, बायो. बेसिक थिंग्स, जाइलम फाइलम पता होता है, सेल के बारे में थोड़ा सा पढ़ लो, दैट इज मोर देन इनफ, और वो आपका प्रीवियस ईयर से भी हो जाएगा. ठीक है? हाउ मच करंट अफेयर्स? If you are preparing for 2027, as I said, start reading newspapers today. Ideally, 1 साल तो minimum है that you have to do, 1 year. But UPSC is not something कि यही महीने हुआ. Obviously, if just something very important just happened before the mains exam, so it becomes important. Suppose Gangayaan is there, so obviously you have to understand about India के space aspirations and all whatever is the shortcomings, क्या क्या issues. But at the same time, it's not कि वो CRISPR-9 से नहीं पूछ सकते. So contemporary developments per se are also important, and that's why I have asked you to read newspapers, because whenever an article is being written, suppose India's nuclear program के बारे में, suppose शांति बिल आया, तो शांति बिल में again you will understand अभी तक न्यूक्लियर स्टेटस क्या है हमारा, राइट? अब उसके साथ साथ व्हाट आर द टाइप्स ऑफ रिएक्टर्स, दिस इज योर वर्क टू डू, कि अब इसके बारे में आई हैव टू रीड. ठीक है, सो एक इंटीग्रेटेड प्रिपरेशन होनी है वेयर यू विल अंडरस्टैंड कि हाँ, एक सिलेबस नहीं है साइंस एंड टेक का, आई हैव टू बी अवेयर अबाउट द कंटेम्परेरी डेवलपमेंट्स, and then you start reading and making notes around that. Similarly, if you are reading newspapers, sometimes they also give these kinds of things कि edge versus cloud chips में क्या अंतर है, right? Similarly, अभी शांति बिल आया तो at least you will know कि कहाँ कहाँ पे, ये आपका ज्योग्राफी में भी हो गया, it will overlap in your science and tech as well. ठीक है? You are giving this year, Kangna? So someone is asking, again, I don't think it would be relevant for most of you, because right now you are not appearing for 2026, but someone who is going to appear for 2026 this year, first thing is revise your static part. You can write it down for yourself as well. For prelims, there are 5 pillars of prelims. First is static, that we have covered, कि लक्ष्मीकांत पढ़नी है पॉलिटी से, you have to read a spectrum, you have to read NCERTs. Then you have your previous year questions. So whenever you start a subject, you start with the previous year questions. So analyze previous year questions, even sometimes the options, right? ये national park आंसर मेरा आ गया था, but again some national park was in news, जो आपके उसमें था, ऑप्शन में था, but again you're not aware about it. So go back and retrace from the options itself. Similarly, reverse, इस बार घाघरा पूछ ली, अगली बार गुमती पूछ लेगा, right? So you have to understand the mindset of UPSC as well. So previous questions will help you there. Then you have your mock tests. So as I said, this is important to instill the discipline in you, so that you are not just passively reading. It will also instill the art of clearing prelims, because many of you must have seen कि engineers prelims में ज़्यादा better करते हैं, right? Because they had this aptitude, वो उनका JEE किसी न किसी लेवल पे चेक हो चुका है, तो they know how these competitive exams work. Arts वाले मेंस में ज़्यादा better करते हैं, because engineers को लिखना कम आता है comparatively, right? So this is again, हर किसी का अपना issues है. So idea is you give your mocks and then you start integrating your current affairs. Finally, never neglect CSAT. Doesn't matter if you are PhD in mathematics, please don't neglect CSAT. I have seen people IIT में 45 rank 2 बार लगातार CSAT नहीं हुआ, वापस जाके he is doing great in life, but again this whole UPSC dream was crushed because of overconfidence in CSAT. So these are the 5 pillars of prelims that you can again take note of. Whenever you are preparing for prelims, you have to make sure all these things are aligned. Okay? Now coming back to the discussion that we are doing. So these are the prelims specific things that we have encountered. Okay? Now what to do for mains? Mains mein what you have to do is, you have a syllabus with you, right? You have a syllabus with you. Along with that, you have previous year questions. So suppose you started with Lakshmikant, but Lakshmikant is a very good book for prelims. But for mains, you need the thematic notes. Suppose basic structure doctrine आपको पता है, right? What's basic structure doctrine? सबको पता है? क्या होती है?
All the consigns of the constitution that we have to follow, the basic core idea of the constitution.
अब इसी को अच्छे वर्ड्स में लिख के याद कर लेना है, जिससे इंट्रोडक्शन में मेरे को सोचना ना पड़े. कौन से केस में आई है? इवोल्यूशन कैसे हुआ है? What was the evolution? Through case laws. So basically, it started with Shankar Prasad, then Gunaknath, then you had your amendments, then you had your Keshavnath Bharati case, then it was again there in the mineral mills case. So at least these 4 or 5 case laws you should understand. So idea is whenever there is a topic, say basic structure doctrine, your introduction, your evolution of the doctrine, what is the significance of the doctrine, what are the issues with the doctrine. Sometimes they'll ask this question in mains, कि it's a judicial innovation, right? So उस पे आपको criticisms आने चाहिए. Sometimes they'll ask how to balance that, right? So issues आएंगे, then you have your conclusion. So this is what I mean by thematic notes. Themes you have to prepare, not just topics, themes. Similarly, you have themes for governor issues, speaker issues, so on and so forth. So again, we can have a separate session altogether. I have taken that already. But the idea is sources mains ke just go through any compilation that you have, along with that current affairs. That's all. So suppose you had your governance and social justice, or society for that matter. So society mein what is there? First is your globalization. So if you have analyzed previous question, you will understand globalization ka impact on culture, on youth, on tribals, on women, right? So on and so forth. So how globalization has affected our culture? अब उसमें डिबेट आ जाती है ग्लोबलाइजेशन हो रहा है या रिवर्स हो रहा है, deglobalization हो रहा है या delocalization हो रहा है, whatever is that. So basically you understand the theme और उसके हिसाब से refer any compilation, but more importantly identify the gaps, and if there are any gaps you make your thematic notes. ठीक है? This you have to do for all the subjects that are there in your main syllabus. अब इसके लिए if you want to we can have a separate session altogether, but if I have to just give you an idea, start with any basic source. Any basic source. So suppose we started with society, then again you have globalization, you have issues of secularism, right? So secularism का बनाओगे, what is secularism, how it is different from Western model, right? What are the constitutional articles regarding that, how Supreme Court has upheld it, right? उसके cases आप क्या जाएंगे, तो उसके में again you have interdisciplinary approach. Then you have critics of Indian model of secularism, right? This is what I'm telling you. Whatever you have read, just make notes in thematic way. Okay? So you have studied inclusive growth. So inclusive growth is there. What do you mean by inclusive growth? What are the components of inclusive growth? Right? So is India achieving inclusive growth or not? What are the barriers to inclusive growth? What are the government steps they have taken to ensure inclusive growth is there? How it is in line with India's Viksit Bharat claim? Okay? So thematic notes you have to prepare. For that, start with a basic compilation. Any one compilation. Then you have second level is current affairs. So current affairs, whenever you are having any classes, they will also make you understand the whole theme itself. Then third area comes the tests. So when you solve a test, there will be 20 questions in mains test. So you will understand 20 dimensions, 20 new themes. Sometimes they will be talking about, say, lithium-ion batteries. Sometimes they are talking about EV. What are the issues in India regarding EV adoption, right? Please, this will be there on the YouTube as well. Otherwise, you can ask in the very end. Okay? So this way, you fill the gaps. Basic idea remains the same for every subject. ठीक है, अलग से अलग अलग बुक्स मत लेके बैठना. Try to have mains specific compilation, right? So that because themes will be covered. Jyotima, you contact administration regarding this. I'm not the right person for that. I'm heading Step Up Mentorship program. So again, if you have any issues with that, I can resolve. Otherwise, if it is regarding the material of Vajiram, please contact the admin department. They will help you. Okay, so this is how. Take any compilation, fill the gaps with current affairs, with test series, and then most important thing is, again, people go on chasing one resource after the other. Idea is to consolidate your themes. First, focus on most important 40 themes. As I said, suppose you have to focus on governance. So, education mein kya challenges hain? What are the challenges in health infrastructure, है ना, उससे रिलेटेड डिबेट्स हो गई. देन यू हैव योर सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप, देन यू हैव योर माइक्रो फाइनेंस इंस्टीट्यूशन, देन यू हैव योर सिटीजन चार्टर, सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ, right? So identify the gaps. So whenever you're talking about any resource, focus should be on previous year questions. First, identify the themes from previous year questions, and if it is addressed by your current source, well and good. If it is not, then you have to move beyond that and again try to have consolidated notes. Mains mein you will need to work on your own as well. It's not like yahi maine padh liya. It's not a university graduation exam ki ek hi book se sab aa gaya. So idea is prepare your notes, and notes are very important. You can also first refer some toppers notes if you want to, so that how to prepare notes from mains point of view, right? If you're part of Vajiram or Step Up, particularly, we also have this one-pager notes, theme-wise notes we give for all the subjects, so that you can revise every subject multiple times. So this is how you have to go for it. Similarly, when you're talking about, say, science and technology, so you have to understand, again, as I said, what are the issues regarding space technology, right? How far we have succeeded so far, what issues are remaining, okay? So thematic analysis of the current themes. Are you getting the point? But for the time being, given that you are starting your 2027 preparation, first follow the basic sources. I'll try to come up with a more comprehensive discussion regarding mains aspects as well. We'll do that in future, but for the time being, you start with this, okay? This is what you have to do. You have to identify the previous year themes and syllabus, just one base material, fill the gaps, do the tests. And again, as I said, for prelims, if you're not comfortable, suppose from science and tech, right? They may ask about, everyone knows a syllabus of mains. Someone who is not aware about the syllabus of mains? Sabko aata hai? Sabko pata hai? Go back to your home. First thing today is syllabus. अगले 4-5 दिन you have to understand the syllabus, because unless and until you don't understand the syllabus of UPSC, आपको current affairs भी नहीं समझ आएगा, क्या पढ़ना है, सब important लगेगा, right? So even the newspapers you will not able to utilize properly. So first go and understand the syllabus. Suppose internal security की बात करते हैं, right? So today they have this Prahar doctrine, right? Prahar strategy for counter terrorism. So अब तक क्या approach थी? How this approach is different? What are the components of this approach? Significance क्या है? अभी issues क्या रह गए? Something like that. That thematic analysis has to be done. Similarly, if you know the syllabus, you will know this left-wing extremism is a very important theme. Every year or alternate year, they are talking about it, right? So, what are the historical reasons for the same, right? Why it is again, whether there is a downtrend. So, MHA की report है 2026-7 तक they will be eliminating that. ठीक है? So, how far that is feasible? ठीक है? So what are the factors? Development factors है, all those things. What efforts government has taken? What are the issues with the current affairs? So thematic understanding of those notes. Similarly, you have cyber security. You have so many emerging technologies as well. So how social media can pose as internal security threat for our country. Drones, again, an important theme. So this way you have to, you can avoid sports section unless and until something very important is being there. So you can avoid it, right? How to answer? This is very budget question is when you're talking about mains, they will focus on the thematic. What is the theme of this year's budget, or how it will lead to better development of women or MSMEs or things like that. Thematic understanding is needed. Okay? But more important thing is you'll never feel that you are 100% prepared for mains. Always remember that, right? So focus should be on incremental progress, incremental learning, and more importantly, filling these gaps with your tests, newspapers, and sometimes even reading some toppers copies, right? So even toppers copies can be a good source for you if you are utilizing in a very optimum way. So every day, maybe you can read a topper copy, 5 questions every day. So if some topper have scored very good marks in GS2, let's analyze how they are writing their answers. So maybe you will get, because again, themes are recurring. So वही self help group पूछते हैं वो बार-बार, वही citizen charter के issues हैं, ethics में वही values, morals पे आते questions आते हैं, emotional intelligence पे questions आते हैं. So idea is, if you are analyzing toppers copies as well, so that is a good source. But again, that should be restricted. It should not go beyond 15-30 minutes every day. इससे ज़्यादा नहीं हो सकता, ठीक है? But idea is first focus on syllabus and previous year questions, and at the end you have to consolidate and revise it multiple times. In mains, you will get 3 hours, 20 questions will be there. You will not even have the time to think about yourself. क्वेश्चन आएगा, लिखते जाना है, लगातार 2 बार लिखना है एक दिन में, 3 दिन लगातार लिखना है. सो वो ऑटो पायलट मोड पे जाता है. सो whatever is there in your blood will actually come out, right? So make it a point that you are going to make notes, and then again, as I said, for the prelims, you consolidate, condense it multiple times, revision, practice it in your test. That's how you will improve. There's no shortcut. You have to go through this pain. Take every week as your attempt. Maybe I have this target in this week, I'll try to complete it, and then maybe write a test every week or fortnightly basis, whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so this is how it should be. So if I have to summarize, so we have understood कि शुरुआत में बच्चे लूप में फंसे रहते हैं of various strategies, various sources and all that. How to do that? First focus should be on consolidation. I'm going to have this strategy, I'm going to follow these sources. So focus should be on resource minimalism. बहुत ज्यादा वास्ट नहीं करना है, इसको फाइनलाइज करो. Give yourself a target for a week, for a 14 days or month or so, something like that. Not too much कि 2 साल में ये करना है, उससे कुछ नहीं होगा, right? Focus should be on some medium term targets, not daily as well. Daily दे सकते हो, but again weekly is better, क्योंकि डेली में क्या होता है, कोई दोस्त आ गया, कभी मम्मी पापा से कोई चीज हो गई, whatever happens, ठीक है. तो डेली इज वेरी सब ऑप्टिमल. आई एम नॉट द राइट पर्सन, कंगना, for PSIR per se. So there are better people to help you. Yes, I'll try to upload it on YouTube. Don't worry about it. Then second thing is, once you finalize, as I said, this does not have to be the best strategy or best resource for you. It does not have to be that. Idea is you start from there and then consistently try to build, rebuild, revise, consolidate this. So revision should be in routine. If you are studying 8 hours, 1 hour every day for your revision. Similarly, 6 days a week, you study something that you are studying for the first time, revising it on Sundays. Make sure, right? Revision is the key. And then finally, apply whatever you are learning in prelims or mains. Give tests. Without tests, when I say test, solve MCQs, write some answers, take the feedback. This is how it is, right? It should not be like 1 saal tak. I have seen people, specifically people who are doing some classroom or foundation. They have this idea कि सर ने जितना पढ़ाया है उससे हो जाएगा. नहीं होगा. मतलब because everyone is having the same thing. Broadcast model है, सर बहुत अच्छा पढ़ा रहे हैं. But the issue is, are you applying? Are you going back and applying on actual answers? That will make all the difference. Okay? So you have to do some part on your side as well. Okay? So these are the 3 important things. First, have a schedule for yourself, some target. Then be consistent, show up every day. Make sure, again, this exam is not about IQ. I have seen people from Google, Zurich, they are failing this examination because they are not consistent. IQ is not the issue. Being consistent with right direction is the key. And then applying whatever you are learning. That is very crucial. That is very important. चाहे सोर्स खराब भी हो, बट आपने उसी को 10 बार पढ़ा है, तो अगेन इट विल एनहांस योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग. वही टेस्ट है, you have revised it multiple times, so it will stick with you. Specifically in prelims, it becomes important. If you're not revising something, it will actually give you negative marks. सुना सुना सब होगा, आंसर किसी का सही नहीं होगा, right? So that becomes very important that you analyze where you are stuck. Thematic notes on there, and for that you will need to understand what are the important areas from which UPSC have asked, right? So you have to be selective, right? So suppose we have this analyst from Vajiram, right? So important themes in that day's newspaper, they're covering it. So that's also very good source. Okay? So this is it. This is how you have to apply it, whatever we discussed. But still, if you are struggling, I always believe in this. I believe in systems, that you have to set the system, not just goals, because again, individuals can fail, systems don't, right? So if you want to, this is a step up mentorship program which I'm heading, and we are again providing overall everything in GS preparation, right? So you will have 4 layers of mentorship, where you have your day-to-day mentors with you to connect with you. Everything that you may face, any issue that you may face, you will have continuous support of the mentors. Similarly, they will give you some weekly plans, personalized plans. There will be sessions on previous year questions. There will be sessions on note making, revision strategy, and so on and so forth. Similarly, some high yielding topics, right? So what are the important topics in ethics? We'll have some videos on that, right? There will be some CSAT strengthening sessions. Workbooks will be provided to you, so that it is sorted once and for all, which source to refer. So this is the workbook that you have to refer for economics. That's it, right? Read it multiple times, revise it multiple times, and then give the test. So every week there will be a test. So whatever we have discussed, every week, prelims or mains that you are going to give, this is how you will improve. Okay. We will give you workbooks, 1 pages, how to prepare topper level notes, right? Even the smart current affairs classes will be given to you. Some CSAT sessions will be given to you. CSAT essay workshops will be given to you, right? So more or less everything that you can think of regarding your preparation in GS will be taken care of, right? Also, in prelims, as I said, every week there will be a test. Once you approach November, December, you will be enrolled in prelims camp, which will have 60 plus prelims tests. Similarly, once you are done with your prelims, 12 GS full length tests will be there, so that you can revise everything 3 times before mains. If you clear prelims, you will be also given a mains camp, where you are going to write answers every day, and toppers like Shakti Dubey used to discuss that part in the previous year. It solves all the issues of your GS. If you still have any questions, you can scan this QR, and again, the team will help you connect. Abhi, I'll take your questions if you have any. Any doubts, any questions so far? Yes.
Strategy for ethics and essay.
That's start writing. Essay में start any toppers, take out any topper. Suppose Shakti Dubey's copies should be there on the portal. Take out 1 topper's copies. First, read the essay. There are some components of a good essay. So if this can be a whole session in itself. So I'll try to plan a session on essay particularly, but I cannot tell you something in 2 minutes. But if I have to give you the gist, so you have to understand from the toppers, stand on the shoulder of the giants. Okay. What are the good components of an essay? Good introduction, so that you hook the examiner. There should be a flow in your essay. Relevant questions that you are asking, right? How you are asking those questions. Okay. Then you have the arguments and then examples, right? So every paragraph, you have one argument. Then you have examples to substantiate it, maybe examples, books, reports, whatever is needed, right? Then the antithesis of that particular statement that is there in the essay, right? And then you conclude. So there are various ways to introduce your essay. Maybe you give your maybe an anecdote, right? Or maybe you start with a report. So again, that's a whole different chapter. But start reading first essays, and then maybe after reading 10, 15 toppers copies, you actually go and write the same essay. Then see where you are lagging. Then compare yourself with the topper, or you can also do the peer review. यार ये ऐसे पढ़ लो, बताओ कैसे कर सकते हैं improve. Someone of a decent background. But again, if you are with the experts, they will help you with that. Regarding ethics, you start with a topic. Suppose emotional intelligence is there. What is emotional intelligence? What are the components of emotional intelligence? How emotional intelligence is important in civil services? How it is important in your personal life, professional life, how it can actually help you have better work-life balance or conflict resolution, right? How to inculcate emotional intelligence in kids, in civil servants, and then conclusion. So this is the theme of emotional intelligence. वो कैसे पता है मुझे? मैंने previous से देखे. So this is what you have to do for every particular topic. ठीक है? So if you have your mains compilation, you start reading that. कि आज मैंने एप्टीट्यूड पढ़ लिया, कल मैंने एटीट्यूड पढ़ा, उस पे क्वेश्चंस लिखे. सो दिस इज हाउ यू स्टार्ट. ठीक है. देयर इज नथिंग लाइक एक ही दिन में सब हो जाएगा. एथिक्स, एसे आर दो सब्जेक्ट्स, वो ग्रेजुअली डेवलप होते हैं. द थिंकिंग टेक्स टाइम, बट द सूनर यू स्टार्ट द बेटर यू विल बी. राइट? यस. Yes, classes, मतलब classes in the sense workshops is there. Faculty will be there telling you about how to write essays. They will be again live. You will write some essays. You will brainstorm things like that. Yes. Any other? You can start with Soumya. You can start with your yellow books. That is more than enough. Ethics may what you need is, suppose there is a value, say compassion. So what you need is a definition of compassion, right? What it means to you, right? Maybe one or two thinkers around it who have talked about compassion, right? How it is relevant for your civil services, how compassion uh, is relevant for civil servants, right? And then maybe some examples, case studies, and unique ones. तो एक टेबल बना लो. That's how you prepare for ethics. Ethics is not कि एक बहुत अलग से बुक पढ़नी है आपको. Start with topics per se, previous से map करो and actually go and write. The more you will write, the more fluent you will become. Lokesh, use of syllabus. First, understand what is there. Suppose when I talk about, say, internal security. So I should know, yeah, okay, maritime doctrine, maritime strategy of India. You have left-wing extremism in India. You have terrorism in India. So how these issues are there? What are the historic causes? How it is impacting our internal security situation, even economics, right? So thematic notes you will make. So first, unless and until you don't understand the syllabus, you will not know where to stop. तो फिर वो everything under the sun वाली बात आ जाती है, right? You don't have to do that. First, understand the syllabus and previous questions. No, not that way. Not all the articles in your newspapers are relevant, but the articles which points to your syllabus are relevant, right? So someone, you leave the politics aside. So some governor not delivering the address, the first address. So you should understand कि कौन से articles and provisions हैं. Then what are the issues with the post of governor or similarly speaker? क्या recommendations हैं committees की? How to make them better, right? This way you have to prepare. Not all articles, but articles which are linked to your syllabus are important. There is no particular substitute of newspapers. That's what I'll say. There are, again, many people may have varying opinions, but as far as I understand, talking with various toppers over the years, I understand there is no substitute of newspapers per se. As I discussed in the very beginning, it will help you in various ways, right? Your vocabulary, your expression, your articulation, specifically, becomes very important for your essay and ethics. Even in your GS2 or GS3, if you are reading newspapers consistently, ऐसा कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं होगा जो आपको सुना नहीं होगा, आता नहीं होगा, right? Yes, atlas is important. So suppose there is Russia-Ukraine war that is going on, so you have to understand Russia के आसपास की चीजें, यूक्रेन के आसपास की कंट्रीज, कौन सी मेजर सीज हैं वहां पे, राइट? ब्लैक सी है, वो बहुत सारी चीजें हो जाती हैं, तो उसके आसपास की चीजें आपको एक बार देखनी है, राइट? सिमिलरली, इफ सम मिनरल्स आर इंपॉर्टेंट फ्रॉम दैट एरिया, right? Why Trump is after Greenland, right? What's the what is that? कि वो अपने नाटो के खिलाफ जाने को तैयार है. So again, you have to understand the significance of that particular area. ठीक है? So that's why every day 5, 10, 15 minutes to a particular region. It can be Indian region, it can be worldwide as well. Preamble, yes, you should know. Preamble, you should know. Sometimes people talk about the whole Bear Act. You not need it. Because again, Bear Act में आपकी understanding बहुत अच्छी होनी चाहिए. In a particular article itself, Bear Act will say whatever we discussed, it will be only applicable given that this article is in line with that. ठीक है? तो again उसके लिए आपको उस article पे जाना पड़ेगा. So first, don't go to Bear Act, but yes, you should understand what is given in the preamble. Fundamental duties में क्या दिया हुआ है? At least the fundamental rights कौन-कौन से हैं? That you should know. ठीक है? Okay. Any other question from your end? I'm not sure about that pile. Please contact the administration for that. Not all the articles per se, important ones. So once you start doing it, you will understand, okay, these are the articles related to citizenship. SIR हो रहा है, तो citizenship becomes important. Then you have your fundamental rights. तो वो आपको organically याद हो जाएंगे. Then you have your fundamental duties. Then specific provisions for center state, state per se, judiciary से कि special leave petition कौन सा article के अंदर आती है. Right, something like that. तो वो धीरे धीरे हो जाएगा. Don't worry about it. How to improve answer writing? I'll take a session for that. But again, if I have to be short, just start writing. The improvement cannot come. It's like you want to swim. आपने बहुत सारी videos देख ली swimming की, and then चले गए swim करने, नहीं हो गए, right? डूब ही जाओगे. So idea is you start practicing day in, maybe weekly. You write some answers, previous year questions. That's how you improve. But take the feedback, and that's where Step Up will actually help you. Any other question? Offline students, done? You can leave. I'll take the online ones. Online, any other doubt? Any other confusion? Rakshita, Shubhankar, Kirti, Vandana. Okay, so I hope we have cleared many of the doubts. If you still have any doubts, you scan this. They will help you arrange a call with me. We can have the discussion there itself. Okay. Okay, thank you everyone for attending the session. But most importantly, don't take this session as some gyan. Just go in there and apply whatever we have discussed this. Okay, application is the key. So always remember, your consistency will outweigh your intelligence. So I'm not very sure about Lokesh. Please contact the administration regarding that. Okay, so all the very best. Keep learning, keep growing. Thank you.